right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Suffering from stink.
A pungent, thick, rotting smell.
Only on 5 on Your Side, the local business that left thousands of pounds of rotting food behind.
The Weather First team tracking a system out of the Rockies that brings a change to our sky by midweek. Why Tuesday may be the big day of the week.
But first tonight, ripple effects from the United Auto Workers strike. One local steel company already announcing layoffs.
There's been zero impact at all to U.S. Steel, so that's just a bunch of bull if they're saying that.
Different unions either bracing for unemployment or walking off the job. More on that in a moment. First, breaking news. An historic night at Busch Stadium where about an hour ago, Adam Wainwright became the third Cardinals pitcher ever to reach 200 career wins. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Ann Allred. He accomplished the feat at his farewell season, is quickly coming to an end, and sports director Frank Cusimano just rushed back from Busch Stadium where Waino talked about his big victory with the media. Frank.
Well, Ann, I really wanted to be there because I've never liked an athlete more than I've liked Adam Wainwright over the years. You talk about guts. He's 42 and physically compromised, and he had 3 shots left to get to 200 wins. And what does he do? Well, he goes out and throws the best game of his season. It's the 52nd time in his career he's thrown 7 scoreless innings. How big is 200 wins? Well, the next highest active total in the big leagues is Johnny Cueto with 145. Adam, after the game.
That's one of the most fun games I've ever pitched in my whole life, Certainly will go down as a top 3 moment for me ever, baseball-wise. So glad I got to do it here in front of our fans.
And in terms of those fans, it was electric. The announced crowd was 35,000, and everybody was standing at the end. The fireworks were soaring, and the tears were streaming. In a season of sadness, this was a night of euphoria.
Great to see. Frank, thanks. Well, a ripple effect tonight in the 4-day-old United Auto Workers strike. U.S. Steel is telling workers it's idling the only blast furnace running in its Granite City plant.
And that means hundreds of workers could be temporarily out of a job. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski joins us in studio with the news that came as a big shock, Laura.
It did, Mike and Ann. This was very unexpected. And the union president here tells me it really doesn't make any sense, as he says the Granite City plant doesn't produce much for the automotive industry right now.
Steelworkers in Granite City woke up to shocking news from U.S. Steel, the parent company for Granite City Works, saying, quote, "Following the announcement of UAW strike actions, we are executing our risk mitigation plan to ensure our melt capacity is balanced with our order book." Which means the only remaining blast furnace at Granite City Works will now sit idle, and an undetermined number of workers could be facing a temporary layoff.
When I went through these idles, I've had grown men crying in my office that don't know how they're going to provide for their families. It's very difficult, and I know it's business to them, but it's personal to us.
United Steelworkers Local 1899 President Dan Simmons says on their end, they aren't feeling the effects of the United Auto Workers strike, and it would take months and more locations going on strike for it to affect them.
We here at Granite don't supply a whole lot to the automotive sector. We service a whole lot of the construction market, agriculture, appliance business.
Senator Dick Durbin and Congresswoman Nikki Buzinski are questioning this decision. Buzinski believes they are using a loophole in a law called the WARN Act to push layoffs through quickly and avoid having to give 60 days notice.
What U.S. Steel has decided to do is to give pink slips to working people at Granite City Steel that start tomorrow. And they're circumventing the WARN Act, in my opinion, because they're saying right now that these cuts are going to be made for just less than 6 months.
So you get the phone call from U.S. Steel.
Granite City Mayor Mike Parkinson says these layoffs, even if only temporary, could affect not only the city, but the entire southern Illinois area as a whole.
This could have a dire consequence on housing and the housing market in the area. If these guys can't afford to pay their bills, your local restaurants, your gas stations, it'll have an effect on a lot of people in a lot of communities.
The union president says they'll be able to keep a lot of people working, but will have to reassign people to other work areas to keep those layoffs at a minimum.
Now to the latest on the United Auto Workers strike. Tonight, thousands remain on the picket line for a fourth straight day, including in Wentzville, as they demand higher wages and other benefits from the Big Three. Both sides were back at the bargaining table today. The union wants a 40% raise over 4 years, but the automakers have agreed to pay 20%. A growing number of politicians are now joining the picket line in solidarity.
I understand the plant has to be profitable, but the profits need to be shared equitably and not just from the top down.
Workers are eligible for $500 a week in strike pay, but some say it's only about half of what they'd usually receive.
Tonight, 5 on Your Side has confirmed the source of a stinky smell that's nagged neighbors in University City for weeks. It's coming from a seafood supply store in the St. Louis County Health Department that shut it down months ago. Our Robert Townsend is live outside the former seafood store where cleanup is underway. Robert.
Hey there, Mike. Let me tell you, a U-City spokesperson confirms for us there is a big fishy mess inside that building back there. Now, let me tell you, the nasty stench is so bad, we are purposely standing back here, clear across this parking lot to tell you about it.
It makes me want to gag. I have to cover my nose.
For nearly a month, Jessica Chu and her neighbors' noses have been twitching nonstop.
Around 10 a.m., I started to smell it. I'm going back inside.
When they step outside in their University City neighborhood.
Over time, I started smelling it every day, mostly in the evenings, and it just got progressively worse.
No one could figure out what is the disgusting odor.
Yeah, I thought it was my dog's poop, because I pick up her poop and I put it in the trash can.
Forcing folks to not sit on their backyard decks.
It was so bad that we thought there was a dead body in the neighborhood.
Well, you might say it was dead fish. A U-City spokesperson says, turns out the awful smell is coming from the former Seafood City supermarket near 81st and Olive Boulevard. In March, the county health department said some products at the supply store were improperly stored, caused a potential health risk, and shut down the business.
And it just kept lingering and lingering.
6 months later, neighbors are still complaining about the lingering stench. Last week, University City contacted the building owner in California and told him the city will now clean up the public nuisance and health hazard.
If you've been to a fish market, it's like that, but 100 times worse.
Monday, a glove-wearing crew spent the day filling up huge dumpsters and tackling the massive mess. It will include removing 3,000 pounds of rotting fish, countless canned goods, and other items neighbors can't wait to see all gone.
So relieved.
Yeah, I'm glad because I don't want to smell it anymore.
Now, the crew will be back out here tomorrow morning. They tell me cleaning up the mess could take all week. They also tell us that the building owner will pay for the cleanup. Live in U-City, I'm Robert Townsend, 5 on Your Side.
The Missouri Supreme Court has ruled red light and speed cameras are unconstitutional, but tonight there's a new effort to bring them back to the city of St. Louis. Leaders unveiled their plan today. For violations to hold up in court, the cameras will have to capture the driver's face. Supporters insist the fines will not be a cash grab for the city's general fund. Instead, they say the money will go towards drivers' ed programs and improving infrastructure.
A St. Louis man has been sentenced to 20 years in prison after he admitted to killing a retired St. Louis police officer. Jalen Garner pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and first-degree robbery. Garner was 16 at the time of the October 2018 shooting death of Ralph Harper. Harper was shot while parking his car in Tower Grove South. He was able to return fire, shooting Garner in the arm. 2 other teens were arrested in the case. Illinois is now the first state in the nation to end cash bail for many criminal offenses. Starting today, it's up to a judge to decide if an arrestee should be released, put on house arrest, or denied pretrial release. It's based on the crime and criminal history. Those already behind bars with a cash bail have the right to a pretrial hearing within the next 90 days. The St. Clair County Public Defender believes that will happen in waves of about 30 people daily.
When we went through who was in custody and what they were charged with, it appears that there's going to be approximately 150 people that are eligible for release. And I mean, when I say eligible, I mean they are charged with non-detainable offenses.
Today was just preliminary hearings. Tomorrow, detention hearings before a judge get underway. A victory tonight for a St. Charles County woman who has been fighting to get more privacy for young people in our state's court system.
It's a story our I-team has been following for years. Tonight, she tells our Paula Vassan it's a huge win for minors in Missouri.
St. Charles County mom Kara Elms has been fighting for years to get justice for her son. And now, a change under Missouri law.
Basically, it says that minors' information should not appear in court proceedings.
A new level of privacy for young people, something her son did not initially get. About 5 years ago, the then 10-year-old attended a St. Charles city-run summer camp. He was accidentally pushed into some equipment, needing staples on his leg.
He had $3,000 worth of medical bills, and the city of St. Charles would not pay for those. So my husband and I decided to sue on his behalf to get those paid.
They soon learned their son's personal information was on CaseNet, the state's website to search through Missouri court cases.
His name, his address, and then his year of birth.
All accessible with just a few clicks.
Ultimately, I didn't think that any children's name should be on CaseNet because oftentimes these children have been injured, they've been abused, and I didn't want that information following them in a public way for the rest of their life.
She advocated for part of what's now Senate Bill 103. It became law in late August. It excludes certain information on CaseNet among people under the age of 18. Court officials tell us even before the legislation, people could petition the courts to raise the security level of sensitive information. Now, there's expanded protection.
There are certain situations, especially like with the Catholic Church where they had the abuse scandal, or the Boy Scouts, and that information could be looked up on CaseNet before. Then you might be able to, make that conclusion that that child had been abused, and no person should have to deal with that.
Elms tells the I-team the biggest obstacle she encountered came from the logistics of changing what information CaseNet makes public.
Personal information from past cases are still searchable, but going forward, she says there will be more privacy for young people in Missouri's system. For the I-team, Paula Vassan, 5 on your side.
If you have a tip for Paula and the 5 on your side I-team, leave a message at 314-444-5231 or email Paula, tips@ksdk.com. All calls and correspondence will be kept confidential.
A military mystery unfolding. Tonight, debris from a missing fighter jet located, but answers on what happened still up in the air. RSV vaccines. If you're over 60, you can get the shot. But our Verify team found access depends on what side of the river you live.
And your allergies could be causing you trouble this week. Since we haven't had much rain to wash the ragweed away, I'll show you when that might change in 6 minutes.
Tonight, military officials in South Carolina say they have found a debris field of a missing F-35 fighter jet. It was located late tonight northwest of Joint Base Charleston. The pilot safely ejected yesterday after an unknown mishap, but the radar-evading plane kept flying undetected. In response to this and 2 other recent crashes, the U.S. Marines have grounded all aircraft for 2 days. U.S. Marine Captain Eleanor LeBeau Cook was one of 3 U.S. service members killed in a training exercise in Australia last month. This week, she will be remembered in her hometown. A visitation will be held Friday from 3 until 7 at George Renner and Sons Funeral Home in Belleville. Her funeral is set for Saturday at 10:30 a.m. at St. Peter's Cathedral Catholic Church in Belleville.
This fall, there's a new vaccine to protect seniors from experiencing the worst symptoms of RSV. But do you need a prescription? Our Verify team found the answer is different in Missouri than in Illinois. Here's Brandon Lewis with what you need to know before scheduling your shot.
RSV is a respiratory virus that hospitalizes up to 160,000 seniors every year. The FDA recently approved 2 versions of an RSV vaccine for people 60 and older. One Verify viewer texted us to ask if they need a prescription to get the shot. So let's verify. Our sources are the FDA, the CDC, and state laws on vaccines. The answer depends on where you live. In 46 states, you don't need to get a prescription from your doctor. You can go to your local pharmacy and get the vaccine, but you can't in Georgia, Iowa, Missouri, Utah, and DC. So why the difference? The RSV vaccine is not currently considered a routine vaccine, like tetanus, or the flu shot. Local laws in those 4 states and DC currently require a prescription from your doctor before getting a non-routine vaccine. Utah and DC say they're working to change that for RSV. The FDA also recently approved an RSV prevention treatment for babies and infants, but that's a medication, not a vaccine. It's available to infants and high-risk babies under 19 months and requires a prescription in all 50 states. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
The FDA recently approved a RSV vaccine for pregnant women. A final recommendation is needed by the CDC to allow them to receive the shot. What can we verify for you? Please send an email. The email address, verify@ksdk.com.
New tonight, a tech company is leaving the Big Apple for the Gateway City. Latch Incorporated, soon to be Door.com, is a smart security firm. The company is moving its headquarters from New York City to a 48,000 square foot facility in Olivet. The move will bring about 30 jobs to the region. Company officials say St. Louis is an ideal location because of its central location, affordable cost of living, and diverse talent pool in tech and manufacturing.
New information tonight about the last-minute decision to cancel Saturday's Moonlight Ramble over safety concerns. Organizers of the late-night bike ride say a final check of the route revealed many intersections were not properly blocked off or staffed. A third-party security company is used to ensure that route is safe, and organizers are now working on refunds.
Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joins us now with the Weather First forecast, and it was a beautiful day for a bike ride, Scott.
It was today, and don't you just wish when you were a kid you had all those colorful LED lights?
Yeah.
You know, to put on your bike and decorate them. I mean, it was nice.
Did you have the baseball cards and the spokes?
I had the colorful on the Adidas jacket. I always wanted those. You guys may not know that one.
I don't know what that is.
I'm pulling from my earlier days.
Yeah, well, you saw the sun. It was a good day.
Earlier days,
yeah.
like 10 minutes ago.
Right. The sun has set over St. Louis, and once again, dry weather for us today. Only 0.03 of an inch of rain so far this month. Now, just for the month alone, we're about 1.5 inches below average. You know it's dry outside, and we really don't have much of a chance for any widespread significant rainfall over the next few days. That will change in time for the upcoming weekend. Now it's mainly clear again. Overnight tonight, we're looking at the coolest temperatures on the Illinois side of the river, already some lower 50s in the metro, and then going back to the west, we're starting to see the warmer air take hold. And so tomorrow will be a warmer day. It will not start out quite as cool as it's been the last few mornings, and we may even have a few high clouds from those showers and the rumbles that are up across parts of Iowa into Nebraska, trying to drift our way towards daybreak. We're clear at the moment, 70 at Lambert. Again, you go east towards Interstate 57 in Illinois, it's already down into the lower 50s. We had a low this morning in St. Louis of 56 degrees. Tomorrow we should be 2 or 3 degrees warmer to start the day. Mainly clear overnight. We're dropping back into the 50s for lows. That's Nigel, a hurricane out in the Atlantic, not going to have an impact on land areas, so we're not concerned about that. It'll just churn the seas. Meanwhile, some high clouds may drift in from the northwest later on tonight, and then we have our focus on what's out here coming out of the Rockies. It's a disturbance. It's going to push to the east. Doesn't get us tomorrow. Tomorrow's a pretty bright day. Should be warmer too with the breeze out of the south. How about mid-80s for highs? Tomorrow evening, still dry for those soccer practices and the kids' baseball games and football practice. But then as we head into the overnight hours, we'll actually be watching an upper-level disturbance kind of rotating towards St. Louis. Now, we think it's going to fizzle and fall apart, but it does bring about a fair amount of cloud cover here as we go from Wednesday on into Thursday and Friday with very low rain chances. Saturday, a bigger, large-scale system pushes in. That's going to give us a pretty good shot, especially Saturday night into early Sunday morning, of seeing more widespread beneficial rain across the area. At this point, we wouldn't say it's a washout, and much of that rain could come during the overnight hours on Saturday night into early on Sunday. But the bottom line is, we're still, what, 5-6 days out. We got to fine tune that just a little bit as we head towards the beginning of the week. Sunday night at sundown, Yom Kippur begins, and Monday, the rain chances decrease.
Thank you, Scott. Frank, what's coming up?
More with the man of the hour, Adam Wainwright, and City SC is prepping for their biggest game of the season. Stick around.
The Sports Desk is sponsored by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer 10 years running.
Kevin Costner did a movie about a 40-year-old pitcher once who somehow threw a perfect game. It was called For Love of the Game. Adam Wainwright didn't quite do that, but he's 42, and instead of facing some Hollywood actors, he faced the Milwaukee Brewers, and he threw the best game of his season, 7 scoreless innings. Yachty in the house, well, sort of. Waino's teammates came to play this evening. Nolan Arenado with a wonderful catch in the second. Razor sharp from the opening. Rowdy Tellez paralyzed to end the second. And Rowdy, why don't we do this again? 87 miles an hour and sinking in the fourth. He needs offense, and Wilson Contreras will provide it with a solo shot. Cards win 1-0. Talk to us, Adam.
Being able to do it here in front of our home crowd was incredibly special. You know, I had an idea coming to the park today that I was going to let everything I had, you know, I was going to lay it all out there because I really wanted it to happen here. I was confident that if it didn't, it was going to happen in San Diego the next time, and that just doesn't have as good a ring to it.
This 5 on Your Side St. Louis City SC coverage is sponsored by Together Credit Union.
I wonder how many times this is going to happen. City SC plays a home game in their stadium that seats 22,000, and the Cardinals play a game in their stadium that seats 44,000. And soccer outdraws baseball. That could be the case on Wednesday night. Let me explain, please. First, City SC got the late goal from Klaus in Houston on Saturday and picked up a point. And that sets up the big game on Wednesday at home versus LAFC. If City wins, their lead would bulge to 9 points. But if they lose, LAFC would cut the lead to 3 points. Coach, what about the moment?
And that's something to be cherished. Enjoy the moment. But yeah, we want to talk about this next year and be in the same position next year and the year after that. So, you know, we're trying to build legacies here. We're trying to, you know, leave this jersey in a better place than when we started. So, you know, everyone has that frame of mind and everyone's pushing to the limit.
And how about this? The pride of Chaminade, Brady Cook, was named one of the Manning Award stars of the week in college football. Why not? 23 of 35, a career-high 356. He threw for 2 touchdowns, ran for another, and oh, by the way, he broke a Tiger record now, throwing 281 passes without an interception. Coach Drink was on Sports Plus last night, and he really loves Brady Cook. And because of this blast by Harrison Mevis, the Dome on Saturday night could be electric. 3-0 Mizzou against 3-0 Memphis. It's a 6:30 game. And I asked the coach about the sensation of running out of that tunnel at the Dome and seeing a really packed house.
Well, I got so many great memories of Dick Merville and Mike Martz, and watching the greatest show on turf would just be an awesome moment for me personally to run out of that same tunnel into that same stadium and have an opportunity to coach in front of the greatest fans in the country, sports fans in the country in St. Louis.
Today, St. Louis U honored the late, great Rick Majerus by naming the practice court at Shavitz after him. His sister Jody received a silver Billiken during the ceremony. We asked about what made the coach great, and one particular area of attention to detail was the big reason.
Where did that detail come from? Why did it matter so much? We all know detail matters and all that. Why did it matter so much to him? How did he prepare for games? Because he was a great, a guy that really did a great job preparing his teams.
Everything he did, though, he did with passion, and he wanted it done perfectly, and there was no, flaws in what you were doing. So if you had to do it 10 times, if we were going to race, you had to race 10 times until, I could do it as fast as he could.
Everything is great in St. Louis. A great tribute to Majerus, City SC in first place, and of course the magical moment for Adam.
Very good night.
Exciting.
Frank, thanks.
Mizzou will be in the Lou this weekend, and the price of tickets won't sack you in the wallet. This will give you flashbacks to the early days of the pandemic. Clorox wipes could soon be in short supply, not because of COVID. The company says a recent cyber attack has affected manufacturing. It's not known when full production will resume. TikTok is getting in on the Black Friday price wars. The app is hosting a month-long sales event starting in late October to lure shoppers to its new online marketplace. It's offering to subsidize discounts as much as 50% to entice sellers to take part.
Mizzou fans still basking in the weekend's thrilling win over Kansas State. Now they can get excited about tickets to Saturday's Mizzou in the Lou game That's at the Dome at America's Center. Kickoff against the Memphis Tigers is at 6:30. The St. Louis Sports Commission is offering $20 off on tickets in the lower bowl and club level. All you have to do is use the code SLSC23, SLSC23 on Ticketmaster.
Scott, tailgating in the parking lot? Okay, maybe.
I think we're going to be okay for most of it. I'm not going to guarantee it's completely dry, but it looks like it's after the game when the better chance for showers and some thunder might roll into the St. Louis area. In the meantime, enjoy your Tuesday. It is a warm day, not all that humid, but back into the mid-80s, lots of sunshine. Rest of the week won't be nearly as bright, and there's a low rain chance by Wednesday night into Thursday, Friday. That rain chance increasing by Saturday night.
And there you have it, 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 4 a.m. and have a great tomorrow.